Hi, my name is Dan, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use landscaping tools in Unreal. So I've started off from a third-person template map, and if you're familiar with the template, you'll notice that I've removed the outer walls. And this is just so that my character here, when I play, can get access to the landscape that I'm going to create. So the landscape tools are inside the modes box here, and we drop that down and we can select landscape. In some older versions of Unreal, these modes were tabs across the top over here, but they've moved very recently over here. So we're going to have the landscape tools. There we go. So the first thing we're going to need to do is to actually create a landscape object. And what it's giving us in green is the settings that we've currently got for the landscape object, and there's a few settings here to talk about. Obviously, we've got a location, rotation, and a scale, which is quite normal for objects. And then we've got a set of things which set the size of the landscape. So we will change these depending on how big we want our landscape. I'm just going to leave them as the standard settings, but I am going to quickly explain what they are and what's going on. So the whole thing is made up of, so the whole thing is called a landscape that is made up of a number of components. And so each component is the landscape is 8 by 8 components. And we can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they're the bits that are divided by the brighter green lines. Now, each of these components then can have a number of sections, and we've got 1 by 1 sections, so you can have 2 by 2 sections. So that just changes the way that it's displayed a bit, and we're going to go back. And then within that, it's give you a number of quads, and the standard setting is 63 by 63 quads, which seems like an odd number. In fact, it's literally an odd number. But that's the number of these quads with the green lines here that we're using. And so that gives you an overall resolution of 505 by 505 quads. And those quads are the shapes that actually are going to be manipulated, and the whole thing's strung together like a great big lattice. So before we can actually do anything, we need to create it, and we're just going to use these standard settings and go click create. That has now created the landscape for us. We're not going to do texturing in this video. That's a fairly complex subject, is landscape texturing, which I'll cover in another video. But in this one, we're going to do some shaping of the landscape, and we'll do a little bit of foliage brush work as well. So now that we've got a created landscape, we've got a number of tools across the top here. So we're going to use the first tool first, which is the sculpt tool. You can see there's a highlighted area here on the screen. We can change the size of that and the shape of that. It's quite a big radius. Let's whack that up even bigger. Shrinking a bit. And if we use the left mouse button, click and drag around, this will give us some lumps, some lumpy hills. Now, if you want to reduce them, or we're going to go downwards, you press Shift and then the left mouse button, and that has the opposite effect. We can change the, as I say, the radius. Let's get some more detail in here. Just click off that and shrink that down quite a lot to make a smaller bit. And the strength of that will determine how much it'll do as we click and hold. So strength 1 will make it go much faster. We can look at the fall off at the edge. So if we want it to be different shapes, we're kind of using a rounded hill shape there. If we're using linear, it'll be more kind of angular, and so on. Yes, tip more likely to give us a sharp point like that. Let's go back to the soft fall off. And we can change the amount of fall off there. So if we want to make it smoother, we can up that. So we've obviously got some really weird shapes that we're doing here. All I'm doing is showing you how the tools work. I'm not actually deliberately trying to make any specific landscape. That can take time and quite a lot of effort. So the next tool I'm going to show you is the smooth tool, which then brings reduces the sharpness of things, and so that particular sharp blob that I've just clicked on will be smoothed down. Generally speaking, you probably want to use larger radius when you're smoothing, because it acts as a kind of major smoothing effect. There we go. That's actually got rid of a whole lot of stuff that we've done and made it very, very smooth indeed. Let's reduce the strength of that and do some more sculpting. There we go. Reduce the radius. Let's get some more lumps going on again. That's a bit better. Nice. And lumpy. There we go. Right, flatten. This tool is similar to the smooth, except it gives you flat tops for things and will kind of equalize things out to a particular height. So this tends to give you cliffs and edges if you want that to be even sharper. Let's try using the linear drop off and see how that works. Turn the fall off down to 0, and we're getting very sharp edges now, hopefully to our cliffs. Yep. Let's take this back. Ramp. So ramp's a little bit odd in that you need a line. And so what I'm doing is I've clicked and I'm holding the mouse button, I'm dragging, and I'm dragging from one place to another that's at a higher level. And then I need to press enter to actually make it do the ramp. And there we go. So that's created a ramp, which is a flat ramp up from the bottom there to the top. And when we click off that tool, that element disappears. We've got a couple of erosion tools next. Actually, let's use the noise tool first. Let's skip ahead because this works not quite the same as the sculpt, in that as we use it, it makes things less smooth. So it's the opposite of the smoothing, is that it actually gives you varied levels and noise across that. This is less predictable than some of the other tools, but can give you some nice effects. Now, I was then going to show you erosion. So erosion actually applies some mathematical principles to kind of as if there was erosion happening to here, and that's standard erosion, which is thermal erosion. This is hydro erosion, which is meant to simulate the idea of rainfall smoothing out a landscape over a period of time. I'm just kind of feathering that, doing little bits to do that. It's even on a flat area that if you apply the erosion, it starts to give us dips and things there. Okay, retopping, let's see what it says. Automatically adjust landscape with reducing texture and stretching. So that's to do with the texturing. It's more of an advanced setting, so I'm not going to go into that. Visibility allows you to make holes in your landscape, but the next one I'm going to do is mirror, which allows you to take an element of landscape and then create a mirror image of it. And this starts off by giving us a plane that we can manipulate, and we can tell it which way to do this. So we've got settings over on this side as well. So I'm going to do -y to +y to turn that around, because I'm going to create a mirror image of that whole thing. We can move that plane, and then when we want to apply it, we'll just click the apply button there. And it's taken everything that we've done on the near side, and it's copied it to the far side of our plane there. Right, let's have a quick run around in our world. Oh, there's some crazy holes here. And when we get in there, we can find that you can climb up slopes that are reasonable for you to be able to climb up, and when things are a bit too high, then it will stop you from climbing up. You can jump up some of these, and it's possible to get stuck down in holes so that you can't get back out. Am I stuck now? Yes, I am. Okay, so it automatically gives you the collision that you need for your landscape. And as you see there, if you go under the landscape, you get these kind of strange effects, and we haven't done this intelligently in terms of the starting area for the player at all. So let's see if we can find the player starter and move it. Is that it? Let's just duck down under here. Here's the player start. I'm still in the landscape tool. I need to drop out the landscape tool to grab hold of that object, and then I can pull it up. I'm just going to use hold shift so that as I pull that up, the camera moves with me, and then I'm going to drop that down using end so that it sits on the landscape. And I'm going to click play. My character is now on the landscape to start off with. And we don't get those weird visual effects, which are caused by looking edgewise on the landscape. Right. The last thing I want to show you is another tool that's under the modes here, which is the Foliage tool, which kind of goes alongside with the landscape in that it's a way of filling it with objects. Generally, you might be using this for grass or for bushes or for trees or something like that, but you can use it for rocks. You can do it for anything that you like. So I've selected that mode, and a whole lot of tools have appeared, but what it wants before we can do anything is for me to tell it what static mesh to use. So I'm going to navigate into the starter contents and the props, and I'm looking for a bush that I happen to know is in there. I'm going to drop the bush in there. And once again, we've got tools that have given us an area. I'm going to increase that area quite a lot to give a big area, but I'm going to decrease the density because it's 0.5. And what it's going to do is kind of randomly place elements of this this brush object as I paint, which is clicking down on the left mouse button and moving the mouse around. So here we go. And that's creating instances of this bush. And it's using a random distribution method for that. That's got a reasonably high distribution of those. Where's my starting character? Let's put him in some bushes. There we go. And so it scattered these bushes around. I could have done the same with rocks or all sorts of other things if I wanted to. And it's possible to set up that so that you've got two different objects or more going on at once, which is relatively straightforward. If I want to add in some, that's crazy. Let's add in some chairs. So I'm going to have bushes and chairs going in at the same time. Any chairs appeared? Yes, there they are. So we've got a kind of bushy, cherry area, which is kind of strange and crazy. There are selection tools to allow you to select individual elements from here and manipulate them. You've got a remove tool, which takes away that one that I've just had there. We've got an erase tool, which is an area tool to kind of wipe out areas of the brush that you've done. And various other tools up there. You've got density and size of your tools again. Right. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to do some landscape painting, but that's it from me for now.